So you guys remember George Floyd, right? The American hero, the martyr, who was unfortunately the guy who passed away because an incompetent jackass police officer decided to sit on his neck. And America was in outrage, and there was looting and rioting and everything because, well, a racist cop had killed another black man. Remember that guy? Well, earlier this week, the Daily Mail released some footage of what actually transpired leading up to George Floyd's final moments before Derek Chauvin decided to sit on his neck. Let's get into it. Now, America has been in shambles ever since the death of George Floyd. There's been looting, there's been riots, they've destroyed cities. They even created a new city called Chaz as a result of all the racial inequality and police brutality and the social injustice and just cops killing black people simply because they're black. At least this was the narrative before this footage was released by the Daily Mail, which shows that what the police did may not have been as racist as people suspect. You see, I said before, I wasn't sure if race had anything to do with it. I wasn't sure if this whole occurrence was predicated on racism, what actually went on, what happened. But I knew that it's rarely ever simply because the perpetrator is black. You know, normally they do something. They resist arrest. They try to assault the cop. They try to take his gun. They run. Something that the perpetrator does or the criminal does ultimately ends up in an unfortunate death. And we actually got some clarity on what actually happened and if what happened was indeed attributable to racism or was simply more because George Floyd just happened to be a criminal. Let's take a look at the footage.
Let me see your hands.
Damn, man.
Stay in the car. Let me see your other hand.
I'm sorry.
Let me see your other hand.
Please,
Both hands.
do nothing.
Put your hands up right now. Let me see your other hand.
Okay, first of all, he says he's sorry. And then he says he didn't do anything. Well, what are you apologizing for if you didn't do anything, why are you saying you're sorry? Whatever he didn't do that he's apologizing for, clearly he's aware that he did something. That's odd behavior from the start. And then he's being non-compliant. The officer said, let me see your hands, put him on the steering wheel. He's not exactly complying.
Put your hand up there. Put your hand up there. Hands on the wheel. Keep your hands on the wheel.
I'm sorry, sir.
Who else is in the car?
This is my
Put your foot back in.
I'm so sorry. God dang, man. Man, I got shot the same way as I was before.
Okay, well, when I say let me see your hands, you put your hands up.
I'm so sorry.
You got them?
Man, dang, man.
Put your hands on top of your head.
Last time I got shot like that, I was
Hands on top of your head.
He got shot the same way before. You would think that if you had gotten shot the same way before by being non-compliant, that would actually incentivize you to be more compliant. That would actually make you want to listen. Because after all, you've been shot the same way before. So you want to minimize your chances of getting shot the same way again.
Hands on top of your head. Step out of the vehicle and step away from me, all right? Step out and face away. Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me. Please, man.
I'm not going to shoot you. Step out and face away.
I'm going to get out of here, man. Please don't shoot me, man. Please, man. I just lost my mom, man.
The fact that he's saying, please don't shoot me, and he's crying, right there, that's suspicion. I have never gotten this worked up over being pulled over by a police officer. And it could be the fact that he's been traumatized because he's been shot for being non-compliant before. We don't know if there's actually any truth to that, but I find it odd how he's crying and pleading and saying, please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer, please don't shoot me. I've never been that fearful being pulled over by a cop, to the point where I just, please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer, please don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Now, I understand that you know, black people, there seems to be a lot of narratives going around about police and they have it out for black people. They're out to get black people. They're out to kill black people. But that's some weird behavior going on. It makes you wonder what's wrong with this guy. If this guy has a mental illness or if he's doped up on something, you know, mentally incapacitated. It makes you start to wonder right off the bat, why is this guy acting like this? Why is he so fearful? Why is he so anxious?
Step out and face away. Step out and face away.
Please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer. Please don't shoot me, man.
Step out and face away.
Can you not shoot me, man?
I'm not shooting you. Step out and face away.
Okay. Please, man. Please. I didn't know, man.
Get out of the car.
I didn't know, Mr. Officer. I didn't know.
Right now.
Stop moving.
What didn't he know? He said he didn't do anything. So what didn't he know? I mean, this guy's mind is he's just completely discombobulated at this point. He's contradicting himself. And then you hear what was it, his ex-girlfriend saying, stop resisting, right there. And these racist cops, he's in the car with other black people. They don't seem too concerned with the other black people in the car. That's abnormal racist cop behavior.
Put your hand behind your back then. I'm not gonna do nothing. Facing the door.
Get his other home.
Hey, you come back. Stay in the car. Stop resisting, man. I'm not. Yes, you are. Stand up.
Against the wall. Yes.
What I doing?
We're figuring out what's going on. Drop the bag.
Figure out what's going on.
Adam,
What's the problem?
Somebody said something to him. It ain't us.
we was getting a ride,
I
sir.
just got my phone fixed. It's my ex-man.
Adam know me.
It's my ex.
Are you good?
He keep telling me, get in my car.
That's it, man.
Well, they
You
let
can ask
Trump
Mr.
Get
Adam
ID?
about us, sir. You can ask Mr. Adam about me.
Do you have ID?
I'm on 38th Street.
Man.
320 or 44.
You can ask Mr. Adam about me, sir. I just came to buy a tablet, and when I bought a tablet, it didn't
Oh
work.
my
whatever.
God. He didn't even do nothing.
Oh my God, he ain't even do nothing. Am I the only one who thinks it's funny how everyone never thinks they did anything or anyone did anything? That's the strangest shit in the world to me. I ain't even do nothing. Oh my God, he didn't even do nothing. He didn't even know the $20 bill was fake. And when they told him it was fake, and he walked out and he waited a little while and then went back in and tried to give the $20 bill to him again, he had forgot it was fake because he suffered from like short-term memory loss. So he didn't even do nothing, Mr. Officer. Dang.
Do you have ID?
No, I don't. My
You got
name's
anything with your
Shawan
name on
Renee
it?
Hill. No.
Sir.
Okay.
I just came over to get my phone to see I don't have a purse or nothing.
Mr. Adam
And my
knows
daughter
me,
is on her
sir.
way to get me.
What's the deal?
I don't
Mr. Adam
know.
knows me, sir.
That's
His
my
name-
ex. I don't know.
Why is he getting all squirrely and not showing us his hands and just being all weird like that?
Because he's been shot before. He don't
Well, I
wanna-
get that, but still, when officers say get out of the car,
Going
is
on.
he drunk? Is he on something?
You know what I really love? I just absolutely love how these racist cops are being nice to these black people. Like, I absolutely love how they're not reinforcing the negative perception that white cops are just out to get black people. I love it. They're just asking them questions. They're cool, calm, and collected. They're asking them why George Floyd's being all fidgety and being all weird, even though I'm sure they know that it has something to do with drugs or mental illness. But either way, these racist cops, they don't seem too bad right now at the moment. Remember, these are racist cops. They did all this because they just don't like black people. Not because George Floyd committed a crime and they pulled up to the scene and wanted to investigate. This is simply because they're racist. All this is happening right now because they're racist. So I'm proud of the way that they're conducting themselves and not being overtly racist at the moment.
We got a thing going on, I'm telling you
What
about
does
the
that mean?
police. We have problems all the time when they come, especially when that man took that gun like that. It's been one.
What's your first name?
He's pretty good, George Floyd.
What is it?
He's a good guy. George Floyd, she said. Oh, ouchie,
What
man.
are you on something right now?
I'm not doing nothing.
You acting
Yeah.
erratic.
Man, it's
Let's go.
dead, man.
Let's go.
God, man. Yes. Yes, I was just moving earlier.
Let's go.
Man, what up? All right, let me come on down now. It's feeling better now.
Keep walking.
Okay, now, do me one favor, man.
No, when we get to the car, let's get to the car, man. Come on.
Dang, man. Oh, man. God, don't leave me, man. Please, man, leave me, man.
Here.
I
I want to watch that car too, so get him in.
Stand up. Stop falling down. Stay on your feet and face the car door.
You get a seat on him?
Please, get out the door, man. I don't want to talk to you,
No.
man. Please, let me talk to you,
Man,
please.
you ain't listening to nothing we're saying, so we're not going to listen to nothing you're saying.
Can you watch that car? Just make sure no one goes in it.
I hear you, but you are going to face the door right now.
Listen up. Stop.
I'll do anything. I'll do anything y'all tell me to do, man. I'm not a resistor, man. I'm not. You can ask him. He know me here,
Check
though.
that side.
God, man, I won't do nothing like that, y'all. Why is it going on like this? Look at my wrist, Mr. Officer. I'm not that kind of guy.
The other side.
Mr. Officer, I'm not that kind of guy.
Stop.
You please. I'm not that kind of guy, Mr. Officer. Please.
Face away.
Please, man. Don't leave me by myself, man. Please. I'm just claustrophobic. That's it.
Well, you're still going in the car.
Anything sharp on you?
I won't do nothing to hurt y'all, Mr. Officer. No, sir. No, Mr. Officer, nothing. Why y'all doing me like that, Mr. Officer? Please crack it through me for me and stuff, man. I am claustrophobic for real, Mr. Officer.
You got him?
Could you please crack it for me, please?
Yes, I'll
Remember my
crack
name.
it.
Stay
I
with me,
will.
man.
I will.
Please stay with me, man. Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, he's just being blatantly uncooperative. You know, he's saying he's claustrophobic, despite the fact that he just got out of a car. Maybe I have no idea. He just literally got out of his car. He didn't seem to be too claustrophobic when he was in his own car. And then he's sitting here saying he's not that kind of guy. Well, what kind of guy exactly is that? Because I believe this is the same guy who held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. So he could have some dissociative identity disorder going on, and it might not be the kind of guy. That might have been a different guy who held the pregnant woman at gunpoint. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. We will never know now, unfortunately, but clearly he's saying he's not that kind of guy. That's not what the data suggests, but in his mind, he's not that kind of guy.
God, man. I didn't know I was doing that, man. Please, man. I didn't know, man. Please. I don't want to do none of y'all, man. Nothing.
You got him?
Inside in your pocket real quick on your shirt. I'm listening.
And I understand that people do stuff. And
Alright, he's good. His guns, whatever. There's nothing worth it.
Okay.
Grab a seat.
Why are you having trouble walking?
I'll roll the windows down, okay?
Please, man. Please don't do
Take a seat.
I'm going in, Mr. Officer. I'm going in.
No, you're not.
I gotta go in.
Take a seat.
Grab a seat, man.
Mind y'all don't believe me, Mr. Officer.
Take a seat.
I'm not that kind of guy.
And do you guys understand? He will not get in the car. He absolutely will not. He is completely resisting arrest at this point. He is resisting. I'm not that kind of guy. Please, Mr. Officer, don't make me get in the car. Mr. Officer, please. I don't want to get in the car. I'm claustrophobic. I'm not that kind of guy, man. I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I don't want to get in. I don't want to get... And the amount of patience that these officers are showing is commendable. It's honestly commendable. I mean, this honestly helps their case in diminishing the narrative that this was a racist act and they were just blatantly racist and out to just hurt black people, which is what the media led the majority of the leftists and black Americans to believe.
I'm not that kind of guy, man.
Take a seat.
Y'all, I'm gonna die here.
Take a seat.
I'm gonna die, man.
You need to take a seat right now.
And I just had COVID, man. I don't want to go back to that.
Okay, I'll roll the windows
No.
down. Hey, listen.
bad, man. Man.
He's saying they're doing him bad. I don't see much up to this point that is unacceptable, that's immoral. I mean, they actually have incredible patience. They actually have incredible patience. They're doing what they can to at least try to help him be more comfortable. You know, they said they'll let the window down. You know what I mean? They're really trying right now at this moment.
I don't want to try to win. I don't want to try to win. I don't want to win. I'm claustrophobic. I'm claustrophobic and I got anxiety. I don't want to do nothing to them.
I'll roll the window down.
Man, I'm scared. When I start breathing, it's gonna go off on me, man.
Pull your legs in.
Okay. Let me count to three. And I'm going in. Please. I'm not trying to win. I get on the ground or anything. I can't stand this, man. He know it.
You get in this car, we can talk.
I'm claustrophobic.
I'm hearing you, but you're not working with me.
God, I'm claustrophobic, man.
Get in the car over here. I'm going to pull you in.
Get in the car. In the front.
No, you're not getting in the
I'm
front.
claustrophobic, so I was
Get in the car.
Okay, man, okay. I'm not a bad guy, man.
Get in the car.
I'm not a bad guy. Man. Please, officer. Please, please.
Take a seat.
Please, man. Please. No.
Take a seat.
I can't choke. I can't breathe, officer. Please.
And you guys here at this point, he's in the car. They're simply trying to get him in the car. And he states he can't breathe. He states, I'm a choke. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And this might have something to do with the fact that they didn't pay much attention to when Derek Chauvin actually had him on the ground and he was saying he couldn't breathe. He had already stated earlier that he couldn't breathe, and they didn't pay it no mind because they think he's just trying to get out of being arrested. So it's easy to just brush that off, the fact that he's saying he can't breathe, because this isn't the first time that he's saying he can't breathe. He said it at the point when they were trying to put him in the car, and when he was on the ground and Derek Chauvin had his knee on his back or on his neck, he was also saying he couldn't breathe. And I think that's probably why they brushed it off, because he was saying he couldn't breathe at this point when they were putting him in the car. And that's all they were doing, was simply trying to put him in the car. He's clearly doped up. He's clearly high at this point. It's clear, it's evident. The erratic behavior, the ranting, the anxiety, sweating, he's stressed out.
Fine. My wrist, man. My wrist, man, please. I can't take this, man. Okay. I'm gonna lay on the ground.
Get in the squad.
I'm gonna lay on the ground. I'm going down.
Get in the squad.
I'm going down. I'm not breathing.
Bro, you look down a heart attack shit, man.
I know I can't breathe.
Talk to the front. Get some more oxygen, bro.
I'm back COVID, man. I can't breathe.
It was actually his idea to lay on the ground. He stated he wanted to lay on the ground. Do you guys understand that all the rioting, all the outraged protests, all the looting was in response to a criminal being uncooperative, non-compliant, and resisting arrest? It's easy for the media to paint a picture of a police force that is simply out to get black people. And although the data and statistics doesn't support such an outlandish narrative, they still push it because they know people will buy it. They know people will believe in it. And it's unfortunate because Derek Chauvin is an asshole. Doesn't justify the killing of George Floyd. He didn't have to sit on his neck. He went to the extreme. But the fact remains that this was not some innocent interaction. I always wonder, when the media hides evidence as large as this, it kind of puts things into perspective about what they're trying to do, the narratives they're trying to push, the emotional tirade they're trying to bring. It's sad. It's honestly sad. A lot of the things that transpired because of George Floyd's death possibly could have been mitigated. I mean, you're always going to have people who are unreasonable, who don't care what the facts are. Hell, that's most people. Most people don't care what the facts are. Most people just want to react. Most people are overly emotional. Most people are easily triggered. Most people are sensitive. Most people are indoctrinated. Most people believe things even if it's been proven to not be the case. They still accept it. In their mind, it's true. So I'm not saying the looting and the rioting could have been avoided altogether. The significance that this video has in understanding what happened and why it happened is extremely, extremely imperative. It's extremely imperative. How could you not release something like this? And then they also released George Floyd's autopsy report, which pretty much confirmed that he was indeed on multiple substances and that he indeed had some critical health issues concerning his heart. George Floyd's autopsy report by Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office did reveal he had a couple natural diseases: arteriosclerotic heart disease, multifocal severe hypertensive heart disease, cardiomegaly, which is in the large heart, with mild biventricular dilation, clinical history of hypertension, left pelvic tumor. It also stated he had no life-threatening injuries identified. His toxicology results reported a lot of blood and drug novel psychoactive substance, fentanyl, norfentanyl, 4-AMPP, methamphetamine, 11-hydroxy-delta, 9-THC, codeine, and caffeine. You know, as long as the media continues to try to push narratives like this, they're going to continue to create racial tension in America. They just build and build and build and build. People buy into it. People believe it. Demagoguery, chicanery. This is what they want. It's up to people to do their own research. It's up to people to try to be more objective, to try to be more logical, to try to make sure they have all the facts, all the evidence, and learn how to think without so much emotion. And while I do agree that his death is not justified, and Derek Chauvin still should be penalized for his actions, George Floyd was no saint. He was no martyr. He was no hero. He was a dopehead that put himself in an unfortunate and compromising position. Over and out.